Mary Grant Nature Preserve Committee meeting, November 17th, 2019, 9 a.m.
It's not 2019 yet.
Sorry, 2018, 9 a.m. Thank you.
He's got us next year.
I typed this fast, so I had 19 on the brain for some reason. This is the first official committee meeting for the new committee members, so it's going to be a short meeting. First thing on the agenda, which is not on here, will be the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, so let's all stand and pledge the flag.
One day, sir.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sorry, fast.
Yeah, I know.
All right, so in attendance, we have the entire Mary Grant Committee. We also have our advisory committee, Barbara and Richard Neal. First order of business would be to nominate and vote on a committee chair. I know we did this unofficially a few weeks ago. I think we need to do it officially.
Okay.
Do I have any nominations for chair of the Mary Grant Committee?
I nominate.
Second.
Yes.
I second.
You gotta get it right or it doesn't count.
All right, so I've been nominated. Any other nominations on the floor from the committee? All right, so I move to vote. All in favor of Dan Krampus as the chair of the Mary Grant Committee? 6 yea, 0 nay. I guess that means it's official. I'm the chair of the Mary Grant Committee, and I so accept.
Congratulations.
Geez, thanks.
Lots of luck.
Yes.
We got your back.
I don't know how you said that.
Old business, pumpkin carving party, which was held in October. I think it went very well. We had about 25 to 30 kids with a handful of adults, give or take. I think it was a smashing success.
No pun intended.
Yes. That would actually be fun, though, have a pumpkin smashing party
God.
afterwards. That may be something to
3
consider.
weeks after,
Yeah.
like when Halloween's passed and...
Okay. Any other discussion on the pumpkin carving committee? How did people think it went? Anything we would do differently next year?
Maybe some music?
Okay.
Oh, like Halloween?
That's a good
Yes.
idea.
Spooky music?
Like a Halloween?
Yes.
Haunted music, yeah.
Okay. I like that idea.
If you have enough interest, you might want to start a little earlier and...
In the day?
So some kids arrive early anyway, and I'm thinking maybe you can have some games.
Okay.
You know, like toss a beanbag into a pumpkin or whatever.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Right.
And they get fed anyway.
Yes.
And just as a suggestion.
Yep.
Right. Kind of more like a Halloween themed party, not
Yeah.
necessarily pumpkin
Yes.
carving,
Halloween
but
party.
pumpkin carving is the culmination of the party.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that
We
idea.
could definitely start,
Marshmallow is the culmination.
you could start earlier.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
My 3 girls are older, and we talked about they could come and help out either with games or they could do face painting.
Okay.
Face painting,
Right,
yeah,
face
that's good.
painting would be great. And like you said, I don't know, start maybe a little bit earlier in the day, like you
Right,
said. Because
okay.
it gets, I don't know if using that trail would be something we could do to use like a
My
hunt,
daughters would love it.
a walk.
They said, why not have like a spooky walk?
Right.
That was one of the things that we talked about that night.
And unless they're definitely with a parent or,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
If they got
Right.
lost, it would.
Well,
Oh, no, we'd have, yeah, they'd have
Right,
to,
Yeah.
right.
So one of the things we can do
all my
is
kids.
to kind of tie those together,
Yes.
where we'll have games and whatnot along the trails. So we'll have to get some
Yeah.
volunteers ahead of time to help with us, but there would be someone from the committee to walk with a group of kids down through the trails. We'd play some games along the way. I'm certain I can get music loud enough so you can hear it on the entire property.
let's not anger the neighbors.
yes.
Okay.
There aren't very many close by.
Right, and it's only
Right.
one time a year.
I think one, we only have really one close by neighbor, right? This is,
Across the street.
It is across the street,
Well, they
too.
love what's going on.
Oh,
Okay.
Actually, Mr. Crump wrote a note, I have it someplace, or it might be in the book. about the elves he ran into when he was walking the dog over there. Remember that story?
Nice.
It's cute.
Yeah. And,
Okay.
kids need volunteer hours to graduate from the
Right.
high
Well,
school.
that was something else I was going to bring up.
So, maybe we could put the word out in September that this is an opportunity to get your,
Right.
your community service hours, I think
We
they
had
call it.
one this year.
Yeah.
Ellie,
Right,
Yep.
I can't remember her name.
but I don't know how.
Is that for the junior high and the high school, or just the high
I
school?
think it's the high school.
It's the high school that needs volunteer hours,
Right.
but.
Acton goes to Sanford, so we
Right,
could put the
yeah.
word out at the high school.
And the other thing is the local scouting groups, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Cub Scouts, I believe volunteer hours are a part of their program now as well. And that kind of ties into new business as well that I wanted to discuss a little bit as we move forward, so.
Yeah.
I think a twofold, kind of, they go hand in hand, is to have it planned out agenda-wise, like, this is the time we're gonna do the games, this is the pumpkin
Right.
carving, this is the time if we do pinata, like, each activity we're gonna do, I think we should have that out ahead and make that even part of what
That
we
could just-
post,
right, on the
however we do it,
Facebook
so people
post.
know, because
Right.
if I'm that parent that doesn't want paint on my kid's face, I'm not coming at 1 o'clock.
Yeah,
Right.
If that's the only
Right,
thing that's
right.
I
happening,
agree.
I'll come at 3 to carve pumpkins,
Right.
or I'll come at 2:30 to chuck beanbags at somebody or whatever.
At somebody or something.
I mean, something. And then the other side to that is having committee members specific, right? So if we have the face painting, somebody who's in charge of that, so that
Right.
you, as the committee head, don't need to be worried about whether that's happening or not.
Right.
If the kids are gonna do the games, somebody who's in charge of the games, and then 1 or 2 people who are in charge of the
Right.
carving, just so that all these pieces are happening when they're supposed to happen, and then whoever's in charge of the overall activity or the overall event doesn't have to be worrying about all those little people.
Right, just make sure they kick off and
Yeah.
then not worry about it
Yeah.
again until after the event. I agree.
I think it would be fun to have it as part of the walk, like different stations on the walk, to have a little,
Absolutely.
yeah, I think that's a great idea.
I love that idea
Yeah.
because then we're not just,
Incorporating the
we're not
walk.
just right at the roadside, you're
Right.
actually in the nature preserve taking
Right.
part in these
Well,
activities.
yeah, that's good because then Virginia is filming or whoever
Right.
it is, then people will get to see what's going on in the inner side.
Right,
Mary Grant, and I don't think it's ever been filmed, has it, down on the walkway? Do we have any film of inside here?
there's no
No.
video of the actual trails and
Trails,
the
yeah.
preserve, right?
Right.
Okay.
A couple of years ago, I did that.
Maybe to put out a blast before, a month before or whatever, to get volunteers for the food. Just so that we know who's, like, if that woman is willing to bring the donuts again, and,
Was that the highlight of your food
oh my
adventure?
God. I was all about the donuts.
Yeah, they really are.
Oh,
Rita's Donuts.
They really are.
Okay,
So I'm volunteering her for donuts.
so I,
FYI?
At least the donuts coming.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
I figure that in the future, probably midsummer, we'll get together and have a workshop or a planning
Right.
meeting just to discuss nothing but the pumpkin carving party.
Yeah.
And then we can kind of formulate a plan and come up with a plan and say who's responsible for what, and then start rolling with it.
Because people were eating, I mean,
Right.
we ran out of food,
That's
so.
the
I had no
biggest
business
deal
eating them
of
when I
the
was
whole
in.
deal of Mary Grant. So the emphasis really should be put on that. Although there were other things that you can do that have been successful, but kind of, because we were the only, well,
Right.
Right.
and I, kind of holding things together.
I think as the premier event, as it is for Mary Grant,
Yes.
we need to make it big. I like the idea of incorporating the trail into it, because really, it's about the
absolutely.
trails, it's about the preserve, it's not about just carving pumpkins out by the barn, it's enjoying the property, so.
Right.
All right, so we'll meet again in the summer to begin planning the pumpkin carving party.
Okay.
I said it wrong twice now, the pumpkin carving party.
I was not going to tell you
You
that.
can correct me, that's your job.
No, it's cute.
All right, any other discussion on the pumpkin carving party?
Good job. Nope.
All right. Any other old business before we move on?
Could we just briefly talk about the budget?
Do we have a budget?
I'm not prepared to talk about a budget because I haven't seen any
Okay.
numbers at all yet.
Okay.
My plan is to get with, oh, look at that, Mr. Neal.
I turned around and I meant it. I couldn't remember if I sent it to you or not.
Thank you very much.
Current status of the,
Okay. So Dick Neal handed me a current account status of the Mary Grant Preserve. I will scan this and email it to all you, so we all have it.
Okay.
did I send that to you?
No, you did not.
Okay, I'll send you, by email, then you'll all get to forward it to.
Okay.
What is the total that we have in the budget right now?
So currently, the Mary Grant account has $2,881.56 in it. I'm not opposed to using some of this money towards the pumpkin carving party, if that's what it comes down to, or other events, or spring cleanup, or anything like that.
If I may,
Yes, you
we
may.
are very, very careful. I don't remember ever spending any money on Mary Grant. Well, a lot of the reason is Dick paid a lot and I did.
Right.
I don't expect people up there to be in that position. When you're raising a family, I understand that. But we are very, very careful because Mary Grant, originally, we had to fight to have the property. And then everything to make the property what it is was done by the committee and people that brought the committee.
Donations.
And through money that Dick raised. And then strictly by donations, people who come through the park have little envelopes they can
Right.
put money in, or they can send money in. It comes from various places. And it comes in and goes into the town treasury. At the time that we were fighting to get it, one of the selectmen, when I was talking about doing a particular thing, he said, you make sure Mary Grant doesn't cost the town a dime.
Mm-hmm,
That's the way it was put. So we're very, very careful.
okay.
So I have a question about the budget. Are we capped?
No.
'Cause my military brain is thinking like we have only a certain amount we're allowed to have in what we call our Geedunk fund, so when we do like sell sodas and whatever. So are we capped, like if I have an idea for a fundraiser and we make $20,000 on it, that can go in our account, nobody can touch it,
Nobody
that's for
can
Mary
touch it.
Grant?
And
Okay.
you watch it wisely.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good. $20,000.
Bad idea, yeah.
So I already, is it okay to talk about the cookbook thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I already reached out to Dan and Tammy and kind of said, hey, let's think about this. I was unpacking one of my boxes the other day and I found my cookbook from when Acton had our sesquicentennial in 1980.
Wow.
So everybody, I don't want to say everybody, because there's a lot of people that are not in that book that I know had some really great recipes. But basically it was a, hey, we're doing the sesquicentennial. We had lots of events that happened throughout the thing. But we had people in the town who donated recipes. We had the kids in the school, and I think Tammy and I were probably some of them that put pictures in, and, like maybe this recipe was for, I don't know, turtle soup,
Yes.
and so my little drawing of a turtle is in there, or whatever.
yes,
So,
yes, yes.
those kinds of ideas. So we get the whole town involved, but then, and it's not, this exorbitant amount, like they're paying $80 for a cookbook, depending on how we print it, and I'll do the research on that. But depending on how we print it, we could be making $10 to $20 per book profit, depending on what we can do for resources. So I can do the research on that. But I think it would be a neat way to kind of kick it off as our Mary Grant thing, get some funds put into the budget, and maybe if we're able to work it throughout the year, it can even, like the kickoff can be for the pumpkin carving, like that's about the time we
That's a
sell
great
them or
idea.
whatever,
That's a
right? Because
great
that
idea.
seems to be
Yeah,
one of our
that's a
bigger
great
events,
idea.
but just a
Okay.
thought.
No, that's a good thought.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea.
And it was just so fun looking through the cookbook.
1980.
All of
yes,
Treadwell's
yes,
recipes, my
yes,
grandmother's,
yes, I know.
Mary Dennett, so Mary
really?
Dennett
Yeah.
was the school cook,
Yes.
and she actually had put recipes in there, I don't know, macaroni, well, I don't think it was macaroni and cheese, but something of that sort, like, for 100. So she tells you how to make this
Right.
meal for 100 people, like, because she
Wow,
was the school
yes.
cook at the time, and,
38 years ago.
yes, I know, right? Bang, bang,
Yes.
Okay, to stay on the subject of raising money, there are groups of musicians that come in. We had a couple of times had a concert, we call it Concert in the Park. One was held down, the first one at the school, and then they wanted to play in the park.
Right.
And they don't charge to come, but they accept donations for the Mary Grant.
Right.
So that's something to keep in mind. I can give you the name of the person.
Sure. And another option along that avenue may be to find, aside from the person you're mentioning, is another local musician that may appeal to a different group of people. So,
That's right.
you know, the person you're thinking of may appeal to the younger generation. I forget the guy's name. Rick Charette would play to kids, right? But there's no reason why we can't get a string quartet or something like that that would play to,
An
I'm
older
trying to think of a
population?
way to eloquently put this.
Mature
but yes, thank you, the mature population in town.
We could have a
You know,
golden
and, you
generation
know,
day.
we'll call it, you know, quartet in the park or something like that. We can come, you can set up your
I want
chair
a generational
and
day.
listen to a string quartet or something like that.
I would like
You know, for $5 a head, just to sit and enjoy it, you know?
I think, to tell you the truth, I think you find by accepting donations, you get more money. For whatever
Right.
reason, I don't know. But people are apt to give you more than.
Because
you
people
charge
are,
a fee.
people are more apt to donate than they are to
Right.
give a set amount of money.
That's right, yeah.
They don't
Unless
like
they're
to be
getting
told-
something back in return.
They
Yeah,
don't
well,
like to be
and
told.
We're also able to include people that maybe can't afford to go to
Yeah,
something.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Since we're on fundraising, any other fundraising ideas?
I was thinking about a Clink account. I
Okay.
mean, we all have returnables. A Clink account at for returnable bottles.
Yeah.
We all have returnables.
Yes.
You know, some of us diligently send them back and others not so much.
Some of us are just accumulating now.
Some of us used to have bags and bags next to the house of returnables.
Maybe.
Okay.
So, I mean, we can set that up with Hannaford and all of the money that people bring in their specified bag, because they get a little label on it that says Mary Grant Fund. It goes right into our account.
Are you gonna take the lead on that?
I could take the lead on that.
So where would you set up because I had mentioned that to you guys when we were at the park.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
you and I had that conversation.
Right, where would you set the?
so what happens is you get your account set up, Hannaford gives you your bags and your labels, and then you can just hand out, you can leave bags up at the church, you can
Okay.
leave bags down here, wherever,
Yeah.
leave
We
them
can
at the
check with the
foot.
school to see if they have anything already set up, and if not, maybe we
Oh,
can do it
yeah.
at the school.
Do they
I
at
don't
the
know what
school?
they have
Yeah.
set
I'm
up.
not sure.
No. Or at the dump?
Yeah, anything.
Well, I got an in at the dump. My Uncle Perry works up there, so.
Oh! That's
I've
where
got
you-
3 kids at the school, so I got the school covered.
They may have a Clink account, I don't know.
They might, I don't know.
Other fundraising ideas?
Does anybody do business with Mark Motors?
My
No.
son-in-law works there.
They, I'm with the Acton Chappie Historical Society. One of our board members apparently bought his car down there and has a service. And they have a program that they take part of all the money they've received for, like oil changes and whatnot, and then they take a nonprofit.
Oh,
And so last month, we got notified that the Acton Chappie Historical Society had been chosen, and they gave us a check of $895.
wow.
Wow.
Okay.
That's awesome.
You know, so I just say, if anybody happens to be a patron of them, they can check
Sure.
it out and see, you know,
All right.
Fantastic.
I like the idea of keeping it local because we can say, here's this local resource that you can take part in, you know? And by the way, if you're gonna get your oil change, Mark Motors will donate
Yeah.
X amount for every oil change to this resource or something like that.
Yeah.
So they pick a nonprofit though?
yeah.
Like,
Well,
so,
sure whether, you know, whoever talks
Yeah.
to the service manager or whatnot, they'll request that it be go on there. I think the number of nonprofits
yeah,
name.
and then they pick one. Yeah.
Pick one out, I think every one.
All right, I'll contact them because my son-in-law works there.
Okay,
We're looking into it.
Yep.
So along those lines, so Linda and I moved quite a few picnic tables that were rotting and falling apart. And it just got me thinking about the same. And so I reached out yesterday, just in preparation for the meeting, to Lowe's and asked them if they ever, make donations and such to these types of organizations. And they said, yes, you would just send a letter on letterhead. Send it to Jeff Smith, who's the manager over there, and they're going to check availability in their budget. But they have, my husband and I finished 2 of them, the unfinished picnic tables. Just needs, some sort of protective paint or,
Right, okay.
So they
sort
would
of
donate
finish.
picnic tables all built versus lumber?
yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well, that would be convenient.
That's certainly something we need because of the pumpkin carving,
Right.
pumpkin carving party.
Yeah, those were in
I'm
pretty
gonna
bad
run out of
shape.
it.
We're renaming it.
There was
Yes.
quite a few that were.
Yes, and part of the thing that I want to do, and we're jumping around now, is at the spring cleanup, I want to say, this picnic table is junk, let's just get it up to the dump, let's cut it up, let's burn it, let's do something, because at what point does it become unsafe? And now it's a
Right.
liability
Yep.
instead of a
Yeah.
We can
picnic
cut it up for
table.
firewood and
Right.
stack it up for our fire.
One
And
of the things
If it's not pressure treated.
you mentioned.
yeah, I don't
Right.
know, those didn't look pressure treated.
Yeah, and that's actually a really good product, like if we're going to Lowe's for donations of any sort, because their overhead for those picnic tables are next to nil. I bought one from them, they were easily clearanced it out at $35. So if they were able to clearance it at $35,
Yeah, I mean, I bought it new, 99.
yep, exactly.
They're not very expensive. But with the idea of getting it donated instead of buying.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely,
Absolutely, yeah.
okay.
So, Richard, do you know if those picnic tables up there are pressure treated?
Some of them were.
Do you know if the picnic tables up at Mary Grant are pressure treated wood?
Some of them are.
Okay.
Oh, they were?
Okay,
And that's one other thing, I'm just writing that down, that we need to look into. You don't have to do it all in 1 year, but we can turn around and we can raise some funds, and turn around and my recommendation would be to go to these new lifetime picnic tables.
mm-hmm,
And,
Yeah.
so that all of a sudden, but what has happened is that they haven't been properly taken care of, and so during the winter time, the water, melting snow and everything soaks into the wood and they end up
Yeah.
rotting.
that's going to change, there's a new sheriff in town.
Yeah.
We can either consider just getting new wooden ones. Give you an example, the library, right out here, I don't know whether you noticed, right on the end of the corner
Mm-hmm,
by the door, this brand new picnic table. I know what it is, that. Okay, I went down to Lowe's,
Well, thank you.
turned around and,
right,
talked to the manager and asked him, told him what's going on, and asked him if they turn around and give me a good break on the picnic table. So I went back, all of a sudden, they said, no big one out. They
Okay.
put it on the trailer and
Nice.
they brought it up.
nice,
Thank you.
So there's ways we can do things,
Sure.
absolutely,
And, like Barbara says, that the money that is in the fund right now, it'd be very easy to slowly keep taking money out of this and that and everything.
Now we can do it through donation.
the idea is to do some fundraising to replace
Yeah.
whatever funds we wind up
But
spending.
as I say,
Yeah.
that money is strictly private donations.
Right,
Okay. And in the event that something happened to the garage and shit, the building up there, and we run the cost of $1,000 to repair it or something
Right.
like that, we've got the money.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
If all of a sudden, well, a couple of years ago, we had some dead trees. And fortunately, we didn't have to dip in to hire somebody to go cut the trees down. Somebody volunteered to do it. But it's things like that that,
Yep.
You never know.
could end the tree. And the only thing that's been taken out of it over the last few years is the electric bill.
mm-hmm,
You'll notice on the thing there and also.
right. That's the $15 and 30 some odd cents a month, it looks like.
No, every 2 months.
That's probably for.
Yeah, I thought it was like $7.
Okay,
2 months. It's 7 cents a month.
yep, all right, I see it,
$15 a month.
okay,
And I don't know, it looks like they bill every other month or something, they'll show up as a $30. But
Right.
If you look at the dates also, you see the month ending.
okay,
How is that paid? Do you have a checkbook for that?
Treasurer.
Oh, the treasurer does it, okay.
Everything, money goes through
It comes into
the town.
the bills come into the
Okay.
town, and then she turns around and charges.
Oh, okay.
It's probably a terrible thing to say, but I worry about when Dick and I are gone, that somebody up here doesn't know how to be sure they're watching the treasury. Every so often they'll say, well, we'll take it out of the discretionary fund. And at one time I wondered how they got the money in there. And money that's left over from various groups in town, whatever, is left over, goes into this
Right.
discretionary fund. Well, we have left over because we're careful.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I plan on doing over the course of the winter is talking to Michelle, the town treasurer, and saying, exactly how are these funds allocated? Who can touch them? What's the process if we need to take money out? What's the process if we need to put money in?
Right.
I want to keep it all above board as much as I can, just so that
That's
it's very
wonderful.
transparent.
Yeah.
What I done in the past.
Yeah, that'd be a yummy project.
Then I can turn around and I recommend to either Jennifer or Michelle, and turn around and say, here's donations for Mary Grant.
Okay,
And then it goes through and Michelle puts it in the proper account.
okay.
And when I asked for the latest runoff, I turned around and mentioned that that Grant Bess is the new chairman and
Right.
would be the one.
Okay,
So if you did, call her or send her an email or whatnot, then it helps.
gotcha.
Who's this guy?
Crazy guy lives on Riverview
I don't know you.
Well, that's right, they already know me, please. I spend enough time up here.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All right, any other discussion regarding funds, fundraising?
Just to tie up this loose end, Virginia said she's willing to work with me to start the research and stuff for the cookbook. Am I good to go to start this cookbook project? Are we good to go start getting the information and?
Great idea.
I would say if you want to start gathering information, come back to the board, or we can have a workshop meeting to discuss further on down the road when you're comfortable with the information you've gathered, and then we can decide from there what's going to happen.
Okay, thank you.
The other thing too, I probably should mention, is we've always had the pumpkin carving on the Saturday before the school has the trunk or treat.
Okay?
And it usually ends up being like the third Saturday of October, as this one was on the 20th. So for the night, if you're going to have functions, you need to start in January planning your dates.
Right.
To make sure you get them posted out here on the board and you won't bump into somebody else along the way. So, the 19th of October in 2019 would be the date you would
Mm-hmm.
aim. And it's always rain or shine. And actually, the one we had in the rain was unbelievable. I mean, there were people all over the place. More people on that, at that one, maybe because we were all closed into one
Right.
space. I don't know. But it was very crowded.
Well, we have the tools to be able to do that. I saw a couple of easy ups in there, and we have the garage and all that,
Now, those belong
so.
to me.
Okay,
I have a friend who actually has a tent business, and I bet if it came down to it, he'd donate
Oh,
for
wow.
the day.
Okay.
That'd be good.
Guarantee
That'd
he'd
be-
donate for the day.
Yeah.
good.
Well, we leave them over there for Mary Grant, but we borrow them occasionally.
we have an extra one, we just
Yeah.
take another pole for.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if you want me to write that in on the 19th of October, 2019?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay. Tentative.
Right, when we have our next meeting, which will be in January or February, we're going to start talking about
Good.
dates for the events for next year.
Yeah, okay. Very good.
Any other fundraising or fund questions, comments, suggestions? All right, next new business, event ideas for 2019. Obviously, we're going to do the pumpkin carving. Do we want to try to have a music in the park or a couple of different music in the parks, like
Yes.
maybe something geared toward kids, something geared towards the more mature population in town?
I was thinking of something for the 4th of July weekend, either, I'm not sure how the 4th of July falls this year, but either the weekend before or the weekend after.
It's on a Thursday.
A concert, barbecue, campfire, kind of something for the whole town to come together. and-
Okay. I kind of like that idea.
You know, also I went to a Civil War event
Yep.
a couple of weeks ago, and I think we can have them come in to portray the historical effects.
Was that the Acton Chaplain
Yes.
Historical Society did that,
I think
right?
that would be excellent to do.
I do like that idea.
Yeah, it's
July's on
educational
on a
too.
Thursday,
Okay.
so maybe.
So I'm thinking either the
That
weekend after or the weekend
after.
before, yeah.
Right.
Now, there used to be concerts in the park
Yes, I was gonna say
by
the
the
same thing.
tennis court.
Yeah.
I think Terry
Yeah. Well, the
did
Terry
those.
Minahan
Yep.
and Seth
So is
Murphy.
that, I don't want to interfere with what she,
Right.
is that not going to happen again? Okay, I knew it didn't happen this summer, but I didn't know if it was something she just couldn't do this year.
Well, I could always get together with Seth and Terry and
Yeah, because that, she's a
see
great
if they want
resource,
to coordinate
too.
efforts too, because
Yeah.
I'm sure they have quite a few contacts.
Yes.
What is that for?
I don't
They
think
do
I do
concerts
it
at the park.
there.
No, no.
Anything outside of Mary
No, the whole
Grant.
idea is to promote Mary
Ask
Grant.
her, like, you know, she-
As to
But
not to
coordinate
step on her
efforts.
toes.
I didn't want to
They
step on
have-
her toes if she was going to do,
Right.
you know, or
absolutely.
maybe she'd like to be part of that, because
Yeah,
that was, right. Okay. I love the concert in the park idea.
Well, one of the other things that we've done over the years is, I think is real popular was the picnic in the park.
Oh, yeah.
You know. And then,
What did that look like in terms of, was food donated? Did people
was
bring their own?
donated,
Yeah.
So it was a BY,
Oh, it
bring
was
your
a
own.
potluck.
and then,
And you get a storyteller.
Yeah.
right.
You can find a good, you know, somebody.
Didn't we have a little vendors, you know, selling their arts and crafts at one
We
point?
did have an arts and crafts.
Yes.
Fair,
Yeah,
where we didn't charge people to have a
for the,
table.
right.
And that was really good
Yes.
because there was what did they call that drum group?
Oh, I don't know, but that was
There was a-
fantastic,
a
yes.
Different kind of drums. There were 10 or 12 people that played drums, and they allowed the children to come in and play these drums. They
Really?
played nice music all day long.
Native
Yeah,
Indian.
and
Oh,
the
Native
American,
various
yes,
tables.
Native American Indian,
There were a couple
yes.
people selling jewelry. There was a man
really-
that
yeah.
makes flutes and sells them.
Right.
And he sold one flute, I couldn't believe it, for $250. Pretty good.
In the wrong business.
Donations to Mary Grant.
Yeah.
And we sold food. That's what
Okay.
we did.
Sure.
So I guess the other thing, as we're throwing out these ideas too, is how many events do we want to do? Are we looking at a monthly event from May through September or October because of the pumpkin carving? Or are we looking at one event per quarter and we're done? How many events are we looking at doing?
That's right, that's important,
Yes.
because you have to remember, if you have one every month, for retired people.
I think that's a
it isn't
lot.
too bad to go up and do a little bit of work.
Yeah, I think one a month's a lot.
But everybody else is working, and you need a lot of help.
Well, and that's where asking
Yeah.
for subcommittee members comes in.
Right, I was thinking of like 4 events over the course of the summer, so May through October, which would
Right.
include the pumpkin event. At least for the first couple of years to get our feet wet, and as people come to learn more about Mary Grant and what we can do there, then maybe we can bump it up to 5 or 6 a year.
So we may get more volunteers
right.
after that. Okay.
Well, the librarian suggested, and I kind of said, well, go for it, baying the moon on, I forget night, but it was some night when the moon was going to be very bright. It was in February.
Mm-hmm.
And they were going to have a fire and sit out there and sing with the moon. Go for it, but not me. I had my day being the moon. Do that anymore, but you young folks.
Us young folks. I'm not that young, Barbara.
Kidding, I'm asleep before the moon comes out.
You young folks can sit
I
in
am
chairs in
my
the
rocking
snow.
8 o'clock
Okay.
is the
Staying at the
midnight
moon.
for me.
It sounds like a good time if you get, you know.
Right.
Bundle up, bring your blankets or whatever, but
Well, I like the idea of doing something at least once later into the evening, or maybe on a summer weekend where, you know, we have a campfire going and people can just come hang out and chat, or you know, walk
Not in
walk the
May.
trails at night, or no,
With the black flies.
no black flies allowed.
How about camping at night? Would that be an idea?
No,
No.
no, Virginia.
Oh, okay, I'm just threw that
Part of
out.
our-
Yeah.
You could change the rules, I suppose. Did you get a paper that says what the rules and
No.
regulations are?
Yes.
I think one of them is no camping.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah. Well, I
But
think
as the committee, we can address that if that's something
Yeah,
we
I
want to
mean, I
consider.
think it'd be nice
So the
little
general
camp
rule
for
may
the
be,
kids,
you know,
yeah.
no overnight camping, but this special event, we may
Right.
be able to allow it for this
Okay.
weekend, so.
Well, I think the concern was that if
like
you
a
started something like that, we contain the fire up here in the front.
Right.
If
Right,
somebody
you don't want
decides
fires in the
launch even
woods.
down there, I'm
Oh,
gonna make a fire
no, I
right
meant
there.
just one main fire,
Yeah,
you
right,
know?
exactly.
Yeah, not little,
nothing
yes,
down
no.
into the-
Well, if we do that, I don't think we'd be
Couple of
actually
tents.
camping in the woods, because then you're disturbing the woods. You'd probably be camping somewhere around the garage, maybe in
Right,
the field or
right,
something
yeah.
like that, so.
Yeah.
It'd be fun, yeah, not, you know,
Okay.
and one.
That would be fun.
Other ideas for events, and obviously, we can discuss
How
this
about-
more
how
next year.
about- I'm gonna throw this out, you know, I watch Little House on the Prairie all the time, the reruns. How about a dance?
Or barn dance.
Right, you know, I mean, bring the old culture,
Right?
country.
When I was a kid, we
I-
used to do square dancing right
Right,
here in
see
this
that?
town hall.
Yeah, or
Funny you
even
say that,
like
because
a
that's the
dance.
first thing that came to my mind when
Yeah.
Virginia
Yeah.
mentioned the dance, like an old-fashioned square dance. in the
Yes.
garage.
I
See
used to,
that?
right here in this town hall.
You see that? Yeah, I thought that would be fun.
Yeah.
Bring
Okay.
it back, because we're losing a lot of, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Along that line, I thought about,
House on the
I would
Prairie.
love to see this. It kind of goes, it was
Yes.
kind of poo-poo when I put it out. Was because there's going to be big elections coming up starting next year. There's going to be a lot of ballyhoo going on because the presidential election's coming. I'd love to see a big bandstand put up, and we've plenty of time to invite the governor and all the big shots to come and sit up on this bandstand and have, you know, band music and everything. The women make pies, right? And the old
Yeah.
maybe even dress up old fashioned. I don't know, it's an idea.
This is about as old-fashioned as I get.
Not that hero,
Yeah,
Okay.
but anyway,
yeah,
if
I
somebody
think
wants
that's
to do
about
it.
it, yeah.
I don't know that we want to bring Mary Grant into the political
Yeah.
side of things.
Yeah.
do we?
It was there.
Yes, yes, just saying.
Why ruin Mary Grant?
Right, yeah,
Some
but,
people may be interested in Mary Grant, you see. Not all of them are.
But we could
anti.
tie that into Tammy's idea for the 4th of July and have that big bandstand
There you go.
decorated old
Yeah.
style.
Absolutely.
Maybe
That'd be
even
good,
have
yes.
some of the folks in the town who are willing to
Couple of
dress up old
speakers,
styles,
yeah.
have some
But-
speakers, maybe have the Acton Shapley Historical Society do some speaking.
Get the library,
Yeah.
get Jennifer, the whole town involved.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm thinking, kind of along the lines, if we do a 4th of July event, I'd like to see the selectmen there, I'd like to see Ken there.
Definitely,
the
yeah,
Acton
definitely,
Shapley
yes,
Historical
definitely,
Society.
definitely.
Good luck.
Yes.
Well, you know.
they-
Shields was always there.
Yes, he
always
was,
there.
yes.
Ted Kryzak
Yes.
used to came, he liked.
I can be very influential. As someone told me at the last time we had a meeting at the Nature Preserve, I'm stand up, and I'm a big guy,
Yes, you are.
and I can be very influential when I start raising my voice. Just ask my family, they'll tell you as such.
I got a 19-year-old at home that says, oh crap.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Other event ideas, and obviously, we can discuss this more in our next meeting as well, but,
Yes.
Yep.
okay. I have 3 more things for new business. I want to discuss maybe a social media. I know there's a Mary Grant Nature Preserve Facebook page
Yes.
out there right now.
Right.
I'd like to figure out who is the administrator of that page and have one of us take it over.
Do you know who that is? Who,
Dick, who's the administrator of the Mary Grant page on Facebook?
Was Gene, and I think, put my name on it, but I don't know how to work the.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, Jean Achilles
Yeah.
was very active, but she's no longer aboard. She's moved, unfortunately.
Okay.
Very good helper. But anyway, she was the one.
So what my plan is I'm going to send a message to the administrator of the Facebook page and say, you know, the new committee would like to take over administrative responsibilities for the Facebook
Yeah.
page. and then figure out who among the six of us would like that responsibility. I think it's very important if we have the social media presence that we post on it regularly, once a week, once every other week, if not more often. And then pictures like from the pumpkin carving party can go there, pumpkin carving party can go there. I can't, among other things. At least I'm catching myself now.
And to post on there, even in the winter, that it's a place you could snowshoe,
Right.
Yeah.
cross-country
Yes.
ski, just so
Winter in the
people
park,
are
you just got some
aware.
snow, feel free to come
Right.
snowshoe on the trails,
So
things
people are
like that.
aware that
right.
it's a
Yes.
park that, everyone can just use, whether we're having an event or not, and then
Right.
make people more aware of it.
And then as it's
a
more
resource.
active, we can start promoting that, like on the What's Up in Acton page, or Sanford Springville page, or something
Right.
like that, because it is a beautiful resource.
It
Right.
is. It
That people
is.
just don't know about.
Have people
Okay.
started, this is a little out of my technology comfort realm, however, have people started using like hashtag Mary Grant or hashtag Mary Grant Nature Preserve, or
I
do you
couldn't
know?
tell you at this point.
What, I didn't hear.
So one of the things that with Facebook and then Twitter, other people do it with, I don't have a Twitter account, but with Twitter and whatever, is, we call it the pound sign back in the day, the tic-tac-toe, right? That's a pound sign. Well,
The
they call it
number
the number sign. They call it the hashtag now. And if in the programming of these platforms, if you do, say, hashtag Dick Neal, and I take a picture of this Dr. Pepper bottle and I put hashtag Dick Neal, and then somebody goes and looks up hashtag Dick Neal, this Dr. Pepper picture's gonna pop up because I connected Dick Neal to this Dr. Pepper, right? So,
Not to
just
get
an
that out of my
example.
mind.
I know, it's just an example.
What you secretly don't know is Dick Neal hates Dr. Pepper.
So with the nature preserve, people like say go out in the winter snowshoeing and they're taking pictures out there, whether it's the nature pictures or selfie pictures, and they're hashtagging Mary Grant Nature Preserve. Then as somebody says, hey, what is this Mary Grant Nature Preserve? And they go do a search for it, everybody who's done this hashtag Mary Grant, all these photos and stuff are gonna show up, and it will link to any stories people have posted and that sort of thing.
It just puts the name out there and gets more
It's-
people to
Right.
be
Yeah,
aware of it.
it's just a way of tagging things to make more people aware of it, and
Yeah.
Something else I'd like to do, and I can take the lead on this, is create an email for the Mary Grant Nature Preserve, whether it's one associated with the town,
Yeah.
or one that we can associate with one of
Yeah,
the
that's
free
a good
email
idea.
providers online. That way, all of our official, if you will, communication will come from the Mary Grant Nature Preserve email.
That's excellent.
Along the same lines, maybe a website. I haven't quite figured out if we're active enough for a website yet.
We could,
But even if we have a website out there created and a domain name, well, then we can have, Virginia@marygrantpreserve.org or something like that instead of Mary Grant at Outlook or,
That's a good idea, Larry.
he is the
Yeah.
computer dude.
Yes, thank goodness.
I'm a technology guy.
Good.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Not so.
So I will move forward on those two things, trying to figure out who is the actual administrator of Facebook, and the email. I'll try to figure out if it's going to be best to go with, if I can register a domain name, I may just do that and get us all emails with the Mary Grant Preserve domain name or something like that, and then we can go from there.
Okay.
Any other new business that we haven't discussed yet?
Well,
like-
go ahead.
but,
The only thing I was thinking about when I was there is to get on a schedule of maintenance of the building, of the grounds, of, how that happens. So with painting the building, or mowing the lawn, or maybe signage, maybe making a new,
These are just some of the,
oh, well, there you go.
So this looks like a to-do list for the preserve that Dick Neal gave us.
Like a spring cleanup,
Right.
Should have brought it
get volunteers for a spring
this
cleanup.
week, when I have a day off.
Yeah.
Or after
so,
Thanksgiving.
and to that, spring cleanup, which is what I was gonna talk about,
Pictures of the towns.
going back to students and having their volunteer hours.
Right.
I was thinking of putting out a message to both the Acton School and Sanford High School for them to come in and volunteer some hours to clean up the nature preserve. Rake, pick up limbs, mow the grass, or things like that.
Yeah.
And for all of that, they gain their
Is there a
volunteer.
lawnmower there? No, okay.
No, the town pays to have Mary Grant. At least we're on their list.
Oh, for mowing,
And nobody's keeping track of how often it gets mowed.
okay.
And sometimes we'll go by and it's like,
Yeah,
and it's easy to forget if they know we're not going to be
Right.
active.
That's okay. We got this.
so that's on the town, okay.
Not for long.
Those type of things,
Or I have absolutely no problem with being a bug in their ear.
Good.
She's good at that.
Yep.
This sounds wonderful because up until now, Mary Grant has been at the bottom of the list, right? Of anything that gets attention in town. But it sounds to me like we're going to.
It's not gonna happen overnight, it's gonna
Right.
take time, but I'm hoping
It will be quick.
I'm hoping to make it something that's enjoyable for
The
the
community.
town of Acton and eventually the surrounding communities to come
You've
visit.
made my day,
So-
I'll tell you.
So to be honest with you, I've lived in this town my whole life, and I've driven by that building, I can't even tell you how many hundreds of times, and never knew that anything ever happened over there.
That sign that's there was made by two people that were on the committee. And it's a wonderful town sign, but the sign should be this way, so that it says both ways. Is Mary Grant, then you would see it. It's there, and you go by it so fast, you
Right.
don't look
Well,
there.
and maybe at some point in the future, we have a sign out on 109 too, right at the end of Goose Pond Road.
I tried at one time to have one put at the corner of Sam Page Road, and you have to go through the state to get permission to put it up there. And I ran out of ambition or something. It just never happened.
There's other ways we can work that angle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can talk to property owners on the corner and see if we can put a sign on their property
But not
outside of the
necessarily
state
on
right
state
away.
I
property.
don't know that there's any private property owned, but town
There
owns
is.
one corner.
There's private property there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we can work something out.
Very good.
So along the lines of
Handshake
clean the
and some brownies.
outhouse, is that an outhouse like a Blow Brothers or one of those?
Oh,
Is it-
no.
Oh, I never went in there.
Oh, it's
It's a
beautiful.
regular outhouse.
Oh, okay.
I was surprised.
And that has a septic tank, it's not a pit, right?
Yeah, it's a holding tank.
Okay.
Okay. So how does
Like
that,
We check sometimes.
Like a compostable?
Probably ought to, never been pumped out, so it's.
Okay.
Who installed it, Richard? Who installed it?
Ethan Crockett,
Oh,
not Crockett, what's,
Her husband,
Karen and Eric Gallagher were in charge of that. And
so it would need to be pumped
I
out?
asked one time for information so that I could check with the company
Mm-hmm.
what you should do. And the response was, I don't have any.
Okay.
Yeah, I just thought of something. On the outhouse, a problem that is everywhere is excess squirrels and mice.
Yeah.
And also, this is the first year that we've had problems with mice in the outhouse.
Yep.
Get into the toilet paper and chewing up all the toilet paper. So it's just, what happened is, I think it's open all along the eaves. And I think, look at it, see if we can put some kind of screening,
Right.
keep the mice out,
Sure.
the squirrels.
We can tie that in with our spring cleanup event. Which is a perfect segue, because the next item on my list is to set a spring meeting date and a spring cleanup date.
so are we going to set a January date too here, or is that?
We can.
Never too early.
A January one and then a spring one? Or is that,
No, once you set your,
Right, I would say let's plan a meeting date for January.
We'll need a quick little get-together, I think in March, depending on when we decide to do our spring cleaning, so that we can just solidify all of our plans for the spring cleaning.
I think.
But that would be more like a workshop meeting.
Yeah,
Unless
absolutely.
you decide to get more elaborate, I think the way we put a sign out on the board and then usually use the smack shopper, they'll do for free for Mary Grant.
Right.
As far as I know, we can't pay anything. You just put something out and people come with their rakes and whatever to help out, but it doesn't hurt if you have a bigger plan.
I do have a
I
bigger
always
plan.
made, coffee and some kind of sweet thing
Yep.
for people to have to eat.
Okay.
So,
I feel Marita's Donuts coming in.
that sounds wonderful, but you gotta remember, there's a big expense to make
Oh,
that.
I'll pay her. I will give her the ingredients if she will make them.
But go ahead, I did July.
Yeah, absolutely. She gives me a list of what she needs for ingredients. I'll gather them all for her, and if she'll make them.
Yeah, she doesn't mind doing it.
Okay. So let's plan a meeting date in January where we can then discuss, we can finalize some event ideas for 2019, finalize a date for the spring cleanup, and talk about dates for the other events we decide on. I'm available right now any Saturday. I'd rather not do it the 12th because I'm just coming back from Texas. But any other Saturday, I'm available. How about you guys?
I cannot do the 5th because I will be in Hawaii for
Okay.
a drill.
Can I come with you?
How does
The
the night?
19th and 26th are left.
Those are the two best for me.
Objections to the 19th?
Yeah, I'm all set, I can, yeah.
In case
Snow date.
Snow date, then we'll do it the next one.
Okay. So let's say January 19th, let's say 10 o'clock this time.
Oh, that's better. 9 o'clock was rough this morning.
And like last time, I'll figure out where we're going to have it. I'll decide if it's going to be an actual meeting or a workshop. There is a difference. And then I'll let you all know where. And like I did this time, I'll send a reminder ahead of time with an agenda and all of that, as well as where we're going to meet.
Sounds good.
That sounds wonderful. And it's a good idea to get these up on the board up there.
Right.
And public invited, we'd love your ideas.
Yeah. So once I know what's going on, I will include Jen as far as dates and times and locations. That way she can get it posted anywhere she needs to get it posted as well. And then if it's a real meeting, then she can arrange for it to be recorded and things like that, so, right. Her ears must have been ringing.
She'll announce it on Tuesday night.
Hi, Jen.
Every life, Barbara.
All right, the only other thing I want to say is that my intention, now that I am officially the chair, is I will attend a selectmen's meeting here in the next couple of weeks to introduce myself as the chair, tell them how excited we are about the events we have coming up, and then we'll just go from there.
Absolutely
excellent.
wonderful. I'll tell you, I do. We were so worried about this, falling apart because of a lot of emphasis.
Right.
on the internet.
Okay.
It started out, one of our biggies is, I don't know, you may remember Lorraine Yetton. She was a very wonderful.
Her grandmother.
Yes. And Dick Johnson and
Yeah.
Hal Davis. These are people who did a lot of work to keep this thing going.
Well, I always put in, that most people in town don't know about,
Right, well, hopefully that's going to change in the next couple of years.
I know.
It's going to be so in their face, they're going to say, how can we not go?
Right.
My hopes from the beginning for Mary Grant was eventually to have an educational program going. It
Yes.
almost got going this summer, but that got screwed up. But to have maybe 1 week out of the summer and eventually maybe more, someone to come in and have it advertised through the schools. The kids can come, no charge, and have someone to teach them about the trees or about conservation.
Well, it's funny you say that, because when my daughter was in 6th, 7th, or 8th grade, I forget where, they did, the whole grade, did a field trip to Camp Nutter.
That's 5th grade.
Fifth grade.
Yep, yeah.
Why couldn't we have them come to Mary Grant instead?
I suppose
We have the same facilities, we were able to use at Camp Nutter, we have the space. It just takes getting it to happen, so, along those same lines,
We can coordinate with the middle school
yep,
teachers and,
a Boy Scout or a Boy Scout, Girl Scout, or Cub Scout camporee,
Ooh, that would be so
where they can come and they can camp and they can earn their merit badges, they're still in nature, all kinds of things like that. So there's a whole ton of opportunities out there. Any other comments, concerns, suggestions?
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you very much for stepping up to the plate.
I'm gonna find out if there's a way that
Thrilled.
So I'm looking for a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting.
I motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
So moved, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Meeting's adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Nobody leave yet. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yeah, nobody leave yet. Tammy has something.
let her show.
Oh, okay.
Go, Tammy, go.
Information from you, because I need a new TV, a new
A new TV.
Computer.